Welcome to DUSK, a podcast for witches and intuitives so we can learn more about our psychic abilities, more about witchy things, and just clarify things all together. My name is Zamira, and I am a psychic intuitive. I'm a channeler. I am also a mystic and energy worker who loves nerding out on all things spiritual and just being able to talk about it with you guys. So welcome! Today we are talking about a very important subject. Before I continue on to the episode, I just want to thank you guys for being here. Today we are going to talk about chakras. Chakras are super, super important for anybody who is wanting to take the path, the spiritual path, to work on their psychic development. It's so important to learn about everything I'm going to tell you if you are trying to develop your psychic abilities, or if you're just trying to be more aligned on your path, more aligned on who you are, and you just want to know how to expand yourself spiritually. The chakras are great for this. I want to start this off by talking about the third eye. When anybody gets into chakras and working with the chakras, the first thing they want to do is develop their third eye. You guys see the videos on YouTube where it's like, don't do this meditation, you will open your third eye, like be careful. We have all fallen for those traps, anybody who wants to work on their psychic development. And I call it a trap not because it doesn't work, not because it's false, but because it does work. And it works too well, almost. So the reason why I titled this video, "Do not start off with your third eye" or something of the sort, is because that's exclusively what I did when I started opening up myself to this spiritual journey even more. And let me just tell you, it was a trip. It was a trip. Like, my reality felt very trippy. There was a lot of shit that I was seeing all the time. But I will tell you right now that it is not the road you want to go down. Okay, it is not. And I'll explain more on why. I, of course, didn't focus on any other chakras except my third eye. Mistake number one, don't do that. Don't do that. It got to the point where I was seeing apparitions, like, for the first time in my life. Like, before that, maybe I was seeing apparitions, but it was never like this, oh, I just saw that bitch sort of thing. No, it was starting to get like, oh, well, I just saw the hugest orb I've ever seen materialize in the corner of my apartment. Whoa, that's awesome. Oh, I'm seeing shadowy little fragments materialize in my room. Oh, in front of all my friends. Everybody saw that too. Great. There was paranoia, even though I had this constant connection to my abilities. So it's like I was always hearing things. I was always like, and I know I'm going to sound like a schizo, but I promise I'm not a schizo. Like, I've been to the doctor, I've been to therapy. I'm not a schizo. And all of this stuff has calmed down. Like, it's nowhere near to where it was before because I was not displaying healthy boundaries with the spirit world, which is what happens whenever you're engaging way too much with your third eye. So I was having this constant connection with my guides, my angels, and other beings that were just like around because they're like, oh, this stupid girl is trying to develop her psychic abilities. Let's fuck with her, which does tend to happen. I'm not gonna lie. So I would literally be seeing shit like all the fucking time. I would basically be seeing static in the air, especially at nighttime, and I would see just constant like tiny little specks of light traveling across the room, movement in the air. And you guys, I'm not making this shit up because literally the things that I would see and look at, my cat would be staring right in the same direction, looking where I was looking, seeing what I was seeing. It was like a fucking trip. I was like, okay. Literally, my cat was really able to ground me. Miss Nia's, if you guys don't know who she is. She's this beautiful gray Siamese applehead baby. In a way, she was a very grounding source for me at that time because I was like, okay, I'm like going insane. Like, I have to be going insane, but I am seeing shit. And so seeing her kind of validate what I was seeing helped me a lot. But not only that, I was having like crazy dreams, and I have told you guys before, I'm not like a really great dreamer, but crazy dreams will happen. I would be going to witch schools and be fighting demons in my sleep and like be using my fucking abilities all the time. And I would literally have these episodes where I would nap, and then right before I would fall asleep into the nap, and or right as I was getting up from the nap, I would hear spirits and voices talking to me, which is also like a huge indication that you already have pretty open intuition, because this is actually pretty common for people, but they don't realize it's a thing. There was literally a point in time where I was like waking up from this dream where I was like it was very interesting. It was like I was in an Eastern setting and I was listening to music. I had this like very, very obvious music playing as I was there, and I knew in that dream I was like, oh, I'm training, that's what I'm doing. And then I awoke from that and like literally had no clue what was going on or what that was about, or any information about that at all was not revealed to me. But I do remember feeling like, oh, I was training for something. So yep, in your dreams you'll be training and shit, like that's just, the psychic way. That's just how it goes. But as I was waking up, I was quickly distracted by this obviously Irish fucking voice in my head. And it was like this Irish guy who was just fucking screaming. And I remember talking to him, but I wasn't thinking about it. I just sort of did. And I know that's how speech goes. Like, I know that's how you talk to people sometimes. But it was weird. It was almost like I wasn't in control of myself. It was like I was just like watching everything, but I knew it was me talking to him. And whenever he realized I could hear him, he stopped screaming and he started getting awkward. He was like, oh, you can hear me? And I don't remember quite what he said, but I do remember being like, holy shit, like he was responding to what I was saying. I also made this video a long time ago that I probably will not be unprivating, about my astral penis, and I was having like dreams about having a penis and seeing a penis in the mirror and like having glimpses of it. Crazy shit was going on. Okay, my reality felt very, very fluid, but I will say, this is not the way. Just expanding your third eye is not the way. I felt insane. I felt paranoid. I felt emotionally unstable. And as cool as it was, I was way too sensitive. Everything was overwhelming. And I guarantee you, if that's the approach you're taking with all of this stuff, even though it sounds really cool, you will burn yourself out and it will not feel good. Eventually, you're just going to be way too open to everything. Boundaries in the spirit world are a must. Another thing before I move on to what I wanted to talk about was this misconception that the third eye is the only thing that rules your intuition and psychic abilities. That's absolutely not true. There are other chakras that help you engage with your psychic abilities as well. And if anything, are far more of a foundational approach that you should be working on before you open up your third eye or really begin to work with those energies. Because these other chakras that have those properties can really help you develop discernment. Okay, so your third eye is definitely important, right? And you definitely want to open it, especially if you're choosing to be on the path or if you want to develop psychically. But it should not be the first step into developing your intuition. Okay, so we really want to give this respect to the chakra system as a whole because it is all so fucking cool. I'm not gonna lie, and it all supports your psychic abilities. Okay, so you will be a better psychic if you are able to work with all of your chakras, not just the third eye chakra. So I just wanted to start it off with that because this is the reason why I find it important to talk about this. All right. And I'm not going to lie. Once we get into all of the information about the chakras, this podcast might be a little boring. And it's going to be boring for those who want to put in the work. Okay. You want to be psychic? You got to put in the work. So let's start off with defining what a chakra even is. Chakra in Sanskrit means wheel, and it's actually a point of energy in your body where there is spinning energy. So these are seen as little discs, flowers sometimes, little orbs. I like seeing them as little orbs, but they're energy points in your body that you can work with to do a multitude of things, which I'll also be talking about. I'm really surprised that whenever I was looking up, because I know what a chakra is, but I wanted to do some more research because I want to make sure I'm not bullshitting you guys, okay? When I was looking it up, just to make sure I had the right definition, I noticed that there were a lot of like Western medicine sources that were on the first page of Google, which I find very, very hilarious considering that this is an Eastern esoteric practice. It's not Western in any way. So I do want to make note that like this is an Eastern tradition that we have to respect, and that is not ours. Whenever you look at Western sources, just be aware that they may water down the concept of chakras and really kind of write it off as woo-woo. There are actually 114 chakras in the body in total, but there are a main 7 that we will be talking about in today's video. If you are ever feeling physically off, sick, or emotionally, mentally off, and just not feeling your best, it's possible that a chakra may be out of whack and that it's time to do some work around that. The chakras are life lessons that we have to learn. They are energy points in the body that we have to work with in order to be on the path, the spiritual path. In the beginning of my journey, one of the first things I did was view the chakras as a pathway into developing myself spiritually and psychically. It stores a bunch of your beliefs. It powers your psychic abilities. Remember, not just the third eye, but all of them have a part to play in that. Some people even believe that they all have correspondences with different dimensions and different planets, and there's a whole expansive way that we can utilize these energy points in our body to open up our spirituality even more. So these energy points, in a way, are portals. They are portals to your own belief system, your psychic abilities, and the life lessons you're meant to go on. This video is going to be a culmination of infusing what I have learned personally, my own psychic observations, a mixture with research and what I've learned from courses and mentorships as well, so that way I can add some more depth into these concepts. So the chakras were actually discovered by the Brahmins, the priests in the upper castes of India. They were actually the ones who wrote the Vedas, a very important Eastern text whenever it comes to Eastern spirituality. I really looked up like how did they know that these energy points were in the body? Found out that it was discovered by the Brahmins, but also from this particular source from Yogapedia, they said that the chakras were supposed to be, and I'm reading this kind of like word for word, the chakras were supposed to be prescriptive rather than descriptive. It was a way we could work with the energy in our body rather than it being what was actually happening in the subtle energy body. I found that very interesting because I've had my own thoughts about how we talk to the spirit world and how we've created and cultivated tools in order to help us do that. Humans have created certain systems, and as we have developed those systems and agreed with each other, human to human, on what each of those elements mean within the system, the spirit world gets wind of that. The chakras are a system that humans agreed on. We agreed that chakras work this way, much like any other divinatory tool like tarot or even astrology. Humans decided, oh, these elements are going to stand for these definitions and will explain these things. And once we've made those agreements with each other, the spirit world gets wind of that. And they're like, oh, they agreed that this means that. So let's make sure to communicate with them utilizing a language that they understand. And I really see that chakras are the same, right? You know, how we have the tarot and each card represents something different. The chakras are the same thing. Each chakra represents something different and are points for the spirit world to be able to work with us. So instead of using an external tool to divinate or to do whatever you want, honestly, with the chakras, you are utilizing your body as the divinatory tool, which I thought was really cool. Of course, the chakras are not just a divinatory tool, but that's sort of how I'm able to communicate to you guys. Even though they were made under prescriptive conditions rather than descriptive conditions, over hundreds and hundreds of years, the chakras have remained a very powerful spiritual modality. Before we get into each chakra, and like I told you, it's gonna get a little dry because you gotta put in the work, okay? If you wanna learn about chakras and you wanna work with them, you gotta put in the work in understanding what each one means. And I promise you, what I have to say is gonna be a lot more helpful than what a random article online is going to tell you. So I want to talk about the mechanics of chakras because actually you can use them in so many different ways. I'm like not even kidding. So much so that I'm pretty sure we haven't even understood exactly how to use chakras in a more expansive way than we do now. Balancing. You want to make sure that each chakra is balanced and aligned in order to make sure that the energy is flowing properly through your channels in order for you to really tap into the benefits of each chakra and live up to your potential. You can turn your chakras on or off. You can do that in order to power your psychic abilities and to really be in touch with what the chakra is trying to do for you. You can utilize light and prana in order to activate the chakras or clear the chakras. And like I said before, there are so many ways that you can work with the chakras energetically that we have no fucking clue about. So at first, whenever I was writing the outline of this video and researching, which it's kind of my favorite part of this whole process because it's like, I love learning. I really wanted to do more research on the 12 chakra system where they talk about more of the upper chakras above the crown and even one that's like even farther below your root chakra. But I noticed as I was researching that there wasn't a consensus on what each of them meant. And the same thing goes for trying to research what it means in terms of their correspondences to dimensions or even planets. And I noticed that not many people had the same things. Nobody agreed exactly on what those things meant and how many there were and blah, blah, blah. So there's something to be said that chakras are a technology. They're a biological technology that we're trying to figure out still to this day. I decided to dump the upper chakra research because personally, I really want to have a relationship with the things that I'm talking about to you guys. So that way I can provide my own psychic observations and just provide a more rich description of what these things are instead of just being a fucking regurgitation of a bunch of fucking online articles and shit. Like, I want to actually give you guys the juice. You know what I mean? I want to give you the juice. But yeah, the upper chakras may have something to do with galactics, with the Akashic records, spirit guides, and stuff like that. So yeah, would be super helpful if we knew and had a consensus over these things, but maybe we're not ready for them as humanity. Maybe we're not ready for that spiritual technology to come out en masse. I will be playing around with that behind the scenes to see if there's any way that I can make it a bit clearer and have a really firm stance on how to use these upper chakras. But for now, we're going to focus on the very important ones before we even get to those. And that would be the 7 chakra system. So let's get into it. Hello everyone! Quickly, I just want to remind you of who is sponsoring this video, and that would be moi. Heyurpsychic. I have so much fun making these podcast episodes for you guys because I love nerding out on all the spiritual shit. However, I'm also a psychic intuitive who utilizes the tarot and my clairvoyance and multiple clairs to channel the best messages for you at this moment in time. I promise you, I am not a scammer. I have reviews that you can see from all of these different people, and I actually go to markets pretty regularly now in person, so that way I can better serve you guys. But I really want to reach out to my virtual people who are unable to get in-person readings from me. So if you're interested in a reading, I really encourage you to head to my website, heyurpsychic.com. I have readings as cheap as $10, and then I have more rich, in-depth readings in case you need a lot of help in trying to find the path towards a fulfilling life. That is the purpose of my readings. So I'll put all of that information down below, and I really hope to see you soon. Back to the podcast now. Before I go into each chakra, I'm just going to give you the rundown of all the information I'm going to be giving you. The lessons of the chakra and what each of them represent. I'm also going to be telling you the correlations of the color element and what part of the body that they rule. I will be giving you a list of symptoms of how you know if the chakra is out of balance with too much energy in it or not enough energy in it, and just overall some interesting information revolving around the chakra that you may have not heard of before. So I really encourage you to watch through all of these, even if you got to do it on 2 times speed, because you will learn something that you did not know. I guarantee that. Welcome. If you are here and you made it to this portion of the video, you're a real fucking witch bitch, okay? So let's get started on the root chakra. So the root chakra's lessons revolve around security, balance, courage, stillness, and grounding. How you utilize this in your psychic abilities is you really work on grounding. So this chakra is one of those chakras that kind of have to be on all the time. You have to be grounding all the time, or as much as you can, so you can make sure you're in your body completely. So if this chakra is too low in energy, you could have a lot of brain fog, irritability, you could be really confused, you could feel really out of body, you can feel really unsupported and insecure, feeling like the universe is not there for you, or just feeling very unsupported in your life through any means, physically, emotionally, financially. Any of that may have something to do with your root chakra being off. Now, of course, it's not the only reason why, but it could be one of those things that can help you feel more confident if you are needing that. If there's too much energy and it's like out of balance that way, you may feel like you don't have much imagination. You're just doing the daily routine autopilot thing like all the time, and you're just doing what you were socialized to do. And these are just observations based off my own experience, so I've observed all of these within myself too. Chakras are one of those things where they're just kind of always out of whack. Like you can get them aligned for longer periods of time, but you may always have to go in and do adjustments. Foods to energize this chakra are meats and dairies, which you don't want to overdo if you are a psychic, or if you're trying to be more psychic. It just weighs the body down and it is lower vibe food. But if you are a psychic and you're just like so out there, then maybe eating some meat or dairy products can really help you get back inside of your body. The element that correlates to this chakra is earth. The color is red, as most of you guys know, and it rules the colon, the kidney, the legs, and more body parts. So personally, I really like energizing this chakra through visualization, through eating, and then also through stretching and movement. Exercise is very, very grounding. Any type of leg exercise is super grounding as well. So make sure to do that if you are feeling like you need an extra pep in your step when it comes to your root chakra. If you are not grounded whenever you're trying to engage with your psychic abilities, you're done for. You're just going to be getting random ass information, and it's not going to be like super helpful for what's going on in the current situation. You're going to be very, very unfocused. You want to make sure you have your root chakra on point. And honestly, even me as a psychic, as a tarot reader, somebody who does this as a living, it is literally so hard for me to have my root chakra up to standard all the time. The sacral chakra is the next chakra. It is located in the pelvis area and it is your first emotional center. This chakra is so important whenever it comes to your empathy and your clairsentience, okay? Your psychic feelings. The lessons that this chakra gives you is lessons in giving and receiving, creativity, pleasure, joy, bliss, new ideas, raw emotions, and addictions even. So this chakra tends to hold on to a lot of emotions. It's super easy to feel very unbalanced here. I think most people are unbalanced in their sacral chakra, and in my experience, the best way to ease what's going on in the sacral chakra is movement. So you'll see in yoga, there's a lot of hip openers. Those are like amazing for your sacral chakra. It literally empties it out like no other. If you do a good old hip opener, you will be crying, you will be fidgeting, you will be releasing so much pent-up energy in there. I love doing it that way. If you are not working with this chakra as a psychic and you're skipping to your third eye, don't do that. Out of love, don't do that. You're not going to be in touch with your own emotions. And you're probably going to be projecting shit. You're not going to be very empathetic. And you're going to be confusing your own emotions for intuition. So it fucks up your discernment and it makes you really confused. So you'll know that you need to work on this chakra whenever you are feeling numb, very easy to anger, feeling closed off and apathetic when you have no reverence to the emotional experience at all, if you're feeling insecure, or if you're feeling overindulgent. I notice it's time for me to look at my sacral chakra, aka my emotions and what's going on there, or even if I'm not feeling fun, if I'm not feeling like I'm playing or having fun in my life, I'll have to look at this chakra as well. If I'm like eating a lot, or if I am on TikTok too much, if I'm overindulging in the internet or in food, something's off with my sacral chakra. I know that myself. Or I'm like really fucking tired and stressed out. That is a symptom of you may needing to look at your sacral chakra. Other than that, if it's too energized, you have like no regulation, no emotional regulation, you work only off of your emotions, and there's like no thinking. You just work off of primal instinct, which is like, even though I say it like that, many people live like that. Okay, they live without even thinking, no thoughts for others and their well-being. And like, there are just some people out here that be living off their first thought, you know, which in some ways that's very good if it's intuition. In other ways, it's like you're a savage, barbarous. Some of the correlations, the color is orange, the element is water, and it rules your ovaries, your testes, your sexual organs, and your bladder. Personally, for me, whenever it comes to working with the chakra and needing to balance it, I love doing the hip openers. They're so good. Or sometimes I like using some carrier oil and clove essential oil and rubbing it on my back. It just like, it creates like the perfect like warmth. You can really feel it working on your chakra, is what I mean. The next chakra is the solar chakra. This is your second emotional center, and it is also considered your second brain, even in the chakras descriptions. This rules your clairsentience as well, your psychic feeling. Your solar chakra is like crazy. There's so much to know about your solar chakra. So first off, it is a holder of energy. You can store spare energy in this area, in your belly area, in the middle of your body to use for later, for extra energy. It is also a transmitter for psychic information. Yeah, this is the area where you're able to receive and give out, transmit programs, okay? This chakra is in fact a psychic center as well. just like the third eye is. Of course, it's different in its own way, but here you'll be able to digest information and decide whether or not for yourself if it is good for you or not. Here is literally where you will build the foundations of your intuition, that being your clairsentience, okay? Not everybody is a good clairvoyant. Not everybody is a good clairaudient, but everybody is a good clairsentient, okay? Everybody has clairsentience, and if you're able to master that, you are able to tap into your intuition at any time without many repercussions at all. So using your third eye and using your intuition and your clairvoyance, that sometimes can be risky because you're opening up your psychic sight to anything. But your clairsentience always is right. It is always there to protect you. For things like clairaudience and clairsentience and blah, 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 all those things need to be charged, cleansed, clean, protected, ready to go. For your clairsentience, you can tap into it at any time. So the solar chakra is very, very important. Here, the lessons for this chakra is your willpower, your personal power, your self-esteem, action, being able to do what you want and having the will to do so. These are your lessons in personal power. If it's low energy, you won't be keeping promises to yourself. You may be lazy or unorganized. You may have low belief in yourself, low motivation, and you just won't take chances on yourself. If it's too activated, that's a different story. You may be very impulsive. You may be acting within your ego. You won't be thinking things through. You'll be hustling too much. You're not paying attention to being receptive to your situation. You're just fucking putting a bunch of time and energy into something. These are some ways that you'll have to work on the balancing of the chakra. Some correlations for the chakra, it's the color yellow, the element of fire. This chakra rules, and I have to look up my notes for this one, the gut, pancreas, gallbladder, muscles, adrenals, liver, and metabolism. You can eat yellow foods, like you can eat orange foods for the sacral chakra as well, which I think forgot to mention, but yellow foods in order to energize it. So this can be bananas, bell peppers, stuff like that. And personally, what I like to do to charge up this chakra, I will say, personally, I'm biased. I know I have a very strong solar chakra. It's just something I was born with, just kidding. But I do. What I like to do whenever I need to energize this chakra, I like to go out in the sun and take energy from the sun and soak it in. I also like putting yellow in my space. So I have this yellow tapestry also to help me energize with all of that. I even have this yellow chair to help empower me, be ready to do some action. So yeah, just putting this color in your space, like all the other colors, really energizes it as well. All of those were the lower chakras, right? I hate calling them the lower and the higher chakras, but it is true. Those are the lower chakras, and most people are not interested in those enough. Okay, those are your foundations. If you can take care of those things, it'll make the higher chakras so much more powerful. And I will say, in my personal journey, I feel like I have connected so much more with the lower chakras than the higher chakras. So my understandings of the lower chakras may be more rich than my understandings of the higher chakras, because I'm still going through these lessons and I'm still learning what it is to integrate these energies properly in my life. So forgive me if you notice that, but I'm just putting it out there. The first higher chakra is the heart chakra. This is the first chakra that deals with spiritual energy as well as physical energy. It's like an anchor to your higher self. So this chakra is a great way to tell whether or not you're getting information from something gross or something that is of your higher self. You will feel fluttering in your heart, you'll feel a connection in your heart, and you'll feel you'll just feel love, okay? Even if it's bad news, you'll feel the love around it if it's from your higher self. The lessons around this chakra are peace, bliss, happiness, acceptance, forgiveness, understanding, the collective consciousness, and more. If this chakra is out of whack and has low energy, you'll notice you'll be apathetic. You might be a little bit more isolationist, which all of us have to be from time to time. You may have a lot of resentment. There may be self-centeredness you have to deal with, or there could be depression as well. If it's too energized, which I have seen in people, there's a lot of people who say, oh, you want to keep your heart chakra on because it really helps you attract prosperity and attract your purpose. I've found the opposite to be true in my personal experience. I found if the heart chakra is overcharged, there is an oversensitivity to others, an over empathization to others to where you're at your detriment. There's a lot of people pleasing, and your emotions could be quite unstable. You'll have crazy emotions, but you never give them any attention. And so you just wash everything down with, it'll be fine. I love them. They're great. This is the over idealization of people to where you just avoid your emotions. I have seen that in some people as well as myself. And actually, whenever this happened to myself, I did the opposite thing. I was having such a open chakra. It was sort of blinding me to the reality of the people around me to where I noticed the negativity around it and I closed it up, and I literally did the exact opposite. So now I'm trying to learn how to open it again. It's just like the third eye, right? Where if you open it too much, it starts to fuck things up. The same thing goes with all of the chakras, you guys. So now I'm trying to learn how to open my heart without giving into these codependent issues I have within myself, as well as being of service and working with love and bliss and unconditional love without putting myself in a detriment, without running myself into the ground. Those things are very important. Remember, balance is key. The correlations are that the colors are green and pink. The element is air. This rules your blood, your circulation, your arms, hands, and of course your heart and lungs. If you want to engage more with your heart chakra, eat green foods. Veggies or fruits, any of those work. Personally, whenever it comes to working with the chakra, I find that rubbing my hands together and imagining a green orb of energy and placing it on my heart can help me boost up the energy of this chakra while I am practicing gratitude. And also just having a gratitude practice really boosts the energy around the chakra. Next is the throat chakra. I noticed that the higher chakras besides the third eye are really the chakras that a lot of people have issues with, the heart and throat especially. This chakra, even on me, is something that I'm really, really working on at this moment in time by anchoring in actions like being able to speak to you guys on social media. It's weird, it's spooky, but it helps heal my throat chakra, being able to say what I want to say. This is your truth center. This is where your clairaudience actually comes to play. If you're interested in boosting your clairaudience, work more with your throat chakra. Why is that? I have no clue, but it is. It's connected to your ears for some reason. So yeah. Yeah, so the lessons of this chakra are clear communication, expression, and your personal truths. It's about being yourself and not being afraid to do so. If this chakra is unbalanced with low energy, you'll find yourself engaging in white lies, people pleasing, trying to control people's vision of you. You may not have a value system of your own, and you may be prone to taking up other people's value systems as your own, and you may be afraid of speaking and expression. If it is too energized, you may be very ignorant. You may be a rambler to where you steamroll over other people's beliefs and force your beliefs on other people. You won't have any filter or discernment on anybody who is hearing you. So the correlations for this chakra is the color is blue, the element is ether. You can power it up with blue foods, and it rules the throat, neck, hypothalamus, and the mouth and upper heart. Personally, the best way that I find to heal my throat chakra, which is something I'm still working on, is through singing and also expressing myself, even if it's scary. Next is everybody's favorite, the third eye. Here, obviously, this powers your clairvoyance and your psychic sight. The lessons that come from this chakra is being able to see clearly, your intuition, peace of mind, psychic sight, and awareness. If this chakra is unbalanced and has too little energy, or is stuck or something, you don't feel connected to your intuition. You can't sit still with yourself. There's indecisiveness. There's no North Star for your path. There's cynicism. You may even have eye problems. And if it's overcharged with too much energy, you may feel very paranoid. You may be seeing so many things. You'll have overstimulation, nightmares, seeing unwanted paranormal activity, hearing and seeing and feeling many different views at once, causing a sense of confusion. You'll receive contradicting information, and overall you'll feel very detached from the human world. The correlations of this, of course, the color is indigo, the element is light, and this chakra also rules the pineal and pituitary gland, the left eye, and more. Last but not least is the crown chakra. This represents your divine connection and your claircognizance. As a psychic, I do have this chakra on all the time. The lessons in this chakra contain higher wisdom, learning how to feel connected with divine, learning how to feel connected to the oneness of the universe, and overall being connected to higher beings and spirituality, and being open to learning more about enlightenment. If this chakra is unbalanced with too little energy, there is no belief in the assistance of the spiritual realms. So this leaves you kind of feeling really unsupported spiritually and potentially emotionally. So you'll notice, like, you don't have to believe in spirituality or all of this shit in order for this stuff to work. I notice, like, Christians may have a very, very activated crown chakra because they believe in that oneness and that power, but they kind of like disregard everything else. No shade. We love the Jesus lovers, okay? I also love God. So these people may feel unsupported in life, they'll feel uninspired, they'll feel separate from the world. And then if it's too energized, there may be psychological imbalance, which I have definitely felt. The correlations to the chakra are with the color violet. The element is thought and will, and the body parts are the upper brain, pineal gland, nervous system, prefrontal cortex, and the right eye. Okay, personally, how I like activating this chakra is through tapping and singing and visualization of divine light entering my body through my chakra. As I was doing more research over the chakras, I did run into some other sources that on quote said to tread the spiritual path without inner and outer purifications will adversely affect the physical body and will eventually result in also psychological imbalance. So yeah, that's kind of what I was saying, and actually is a huge thing that I wanted to talk about. That's kind of a theme throughout all of my videos, is like with this spiritual stuff, you really have to be okay with learning the not so fun stuff and have strong foundations, because if not, you're going to drive yourself crazy. You just want to be careful, okay, and make sure that all of these are in balance, and be open to supporting yourself emotionally, making sure you're supported financially and physically on this earth. Like, you are a human first before going into all the spiritual stuff. Like, I know the quote says you're a spiritual being first, you know, experiencing the human experience, but at the end of the day, you're here, right? You're not there, you're here. So put your human first for now, and then the spiritual stuff can follow and will be a lot more supportive to your journey if you're just willing to accept that you're here on earth as a human. That was a description of all the chakras. Next, I'm going to talk about how you can realign your chakras. I've already given you tidbits of my favorite things to do for each chakra, but there are more things you can do. So a lot of people can meditate, use mantras, and visualize energy going into each of these chakras to either activate them or balance them or work through them. I love doing chakra meditations where you can, honestly, you don't even need like a guided meditation. You can just do this alone at your house. You can just take a seat wherever is comfortable for you and then just start imagining your root to your crown chakra and just sort of like connecting with the energy that's already there, maybe infusing it with a little bit more of the corresponding color to each chakra until you feel ease, until you feel openness in each of those energy points in your body. And then you can move on to the next chakra after feeling that ease. That is also a really great way to align your chakras and also open you up to some inner work that may need to happen as you tread the spiritual path. Diet is a huge thing as well. You can energize your chakras with the right diet. I also love balancing my chakras with singing. I like clearing my chakras with singing, and I actually have a certification in that I don't really talk about because it wasn't really relevant for anybody except myself like a long time ago. But it is something I'm trying to infuse into my clearing services. Movement, massage, and tapping can really help energize the chakra or work through them as well. Like for instance, me and the sacral chakra, the best way for me to work through that is through hip openers, hands down. More than singing, more than tapping, more than meditating, it is through hip openers. Like it's just so visceral, the release that you get from doing the work in that way. The next thing is working with your thoughts and doing the shadow work on each of the lessons that the chakras are trying to assist you with. That, in a way, can also help move through blockages that you may have in through all of your chakras. And then we also have mudras, mantras. Use mantras in order to align and balance your chakras, or you can use mudras as well, which are hand formations to help you engage with a specific energy. So those can help you out as well. If you made it to the end of this video, first off, good on you. Congrats. I do want to tell you though, you're opening yourself up to spiritual energy, okay? Once you do this, you kind of, in a way, can't go back. And I know I make that sound really, really intense and annoying, but chances are if you clicked on this video, you've already clicked on many videos about chakras or about the third eye. But just know that this is the point where you kind of can't take anything back. And I just saw 11:11. This is the point where you start to become crippling aware of your energy and of what's going on in your mental and your emotional states. The best way to handle that is 1, learn how to protect yourself, okay? Get my guide. I do have my guide on my website and it's linked down below for you to grab. I have made this to help you feel safer in your spiritual practices, so go use that, especially if there's chaos happening whenever you start working with these things. Number 2, make sure you're working with all the chakras. And number 3, take your time. Don't put pressure on yourself. Take your time, take a step back, and be open into just receiving and being receptive to whatever is happening in the moment that you're at. So being very accepting with yourself and what's happening in your life. There's a big chance that you will start to see ghosties or have paranormal experiences, maybe spiritual or energetic experiences. There's also a chance that you will start to feel your divine team talking to you and trying to engage with you. And you will feel this like responsibility on yourself to become a better person. And it is all a blessing, okay? And it is really all up to you. If those things end up creeping you out, you can take a step back. Take a step back and you don't have to fuck with it. But if you are wanting to open yourself up to your path, your specific, purposeful, spiritual path, I definitely recommend working with the chakras. They are an amazing spiritual technology that I think is just going to expand and expand and expand. And I think it's also teaching us how to move away from external tools into using our own intuition and our own bodies as a way to communicate with the divine. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, and one of the best ways that you can help support me and my channel and my work is by subscribing, liking. Please don't hesitate to help a girl out, you guys, and please let me know what you thought about the video in the comments below. I'm open to any DMs, any questions, and go check me out on my other platforms. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.